round here originally. I know I'm Southern and all that, but no, my dad, my granddad, my great granddad, all big City fans. So it's very much the family team. I didn't really have a great deal of choice on the matter. So grew up. It's just been a bit of a roller coaster, really, growing up in the southeast with having to convince people that Joey Barton and Bernardo Corradi are good players.
The legend that has been the legend that is Bernardo Corradi. I've not heard that name for ages.
Oh, what a man! What a man!
Oh, you've won my heart already there, pal. I'm happy with that. You're living in Salford at the minute, I believe, and you go to quite a few games at home, don't you?
Oh yeah, I go every game these days. I've been going games most of my life, but obviously I'm working now, and been out of season ticket for a number of years now, and I go to pretty much every game home and away.
Even better. Love to hear that. So we've got a couple of questions, we've got a couple of topics we're gonna cover through tonight. Biggest one is, Joe, what was your thoughts on the Burnley game at the weekend? Are you still as buzzing as we are? I don't know if you caught mine and Dan's post-match show, but I think it sounded like we took something before we came on live. We were just absolutely top of the world because we've missed that big score lines. But how about you, Joe? What's your thoughts on the game?
Well, that was a bit more like it, wasn't it?
Just a bit.
Obviously, Burnley, we do have a bit of form for doing that to them. But no, I went into the game with almost a mentality of, we've had a pretty poor few weeks. Even the game in midweek last week against Olympiacos was a bit frustrating. Also, we had a lot of the ball. We're not putting the ball in the back of the net. What's going wrong? And I guess the thing that pleased me most about the Burnley game wasn't just how clinical we were, was the players who got the goals. I felt really sorry for Mahrez recently. I think, yes, he hasn't been good. I'm not going to defend his form. After last season, when he really upped his game, I was quite disappointed in how he started the season. But he was back. He played really well. And I felt like he's just been a bit scapegoated the last few weeks. I don't think he's been the only player who's been a bit off. So I was buzzing for him. And also, Mendy. Now, I'm one of Mendy's biggest critics. I find him quite a frustrating player. I find his off-the-pitch antics. I could put up with them more if he was putting in performances, but he doesn't. So I was very pleased to see him score that goal, which he took really well. And, it was just what we needed, really, going into... We've got quite a tough run of games coming up in all competitions. We're going to need to rotate players, and it's good to see that the players that were perhaps coming under a great deal of criticism, justifying their place in the team.
Well, you know what? You said the right thing straight away, so you're going to fit in quite well to the team by being a critic of Mendy and his performances. And what about you, Dan? I think he's going to do all right there, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I'm against that. I think Mendy is one of the best players that he has. You know how it works here. You know how it works here. I think Joe's hit every single nail on the head there. I said it on our podcast. Was it Saturday, wasn't it? I can't remember what game was it, that buzzing. That it's nice to see the players that do get criticised the most, the Mahrezes, the Mendys, the John Stones, having really good games, and hopefully now those lads in particular can push on and do something. I mean, the amount of criticism John Stones got was unbelievable. I think we all knew his head wasn't in the right place mentally on the pitch. It wasn't there. And I remember me personally saying I hope he stays during transfer talks, the possibility of loaned out to Leeds. And I said I really hope he stays, and I really hope he starts turning things around, and fingers crossed that game is the start of many. Laporte's going to be looking over his back now.
Well, do you know what? There is an argument to say John Stones over Laporte at the minute. Let's look off the previous games. John Stones has been an absolute pillar for us, and I've not seen him put a foot wrong. Gets the ball, controls it, runs out of defence, takes danger away from Ederson. There's a massive argument to say, is John Stones the informed defender at the moment over Laporte? Dave, great timing. What's your thoughts on that, pal?
On Stones, I'm really pleased for the lad. I've always said I'm as big an England fan as I am a City fan as well. I want the national team to do well, and we are shite at the back nationally. So if we can get John Stones in some kind of form, going into the Euros next year. I'm more and more happy with that. My massive concern with Laporte, and I think I've said this as well, is his injury record. And I want consistency, and we get I think it's 2 games that Laporte and Diaz played together before Laporte was out again. Now, my understanding is that he's fit, but Stones is just playing better than him in training, and Guardiola thinks he's the better option. So, hey, I'm all for it. I much prefer an English lad proving his worth than someone else, to be perfectly honest. So, I heard what Dan said. Even Guardiola said it as well. It sounds like Stones has got these personal problems behind him now. He's got his head sorted out, and he's going to put his head down now and work hard. And let's be honest, Diaz is hopefully our new company. And as you lot have always said, Stones or Otamendi before him was always good with a reliable centre-back to play with. And maybe Diaz is that player we've been looking for, and Stones is going to excel now in that position, and fingers crossed.
It's funny you're making the Diaz comments there, because there's loads of people saying, why is he even in the team sheet? Why is he in the squad? Why is he not training with our under-20s? But we can't get away from the fact that he is a good quality defender. And if we were to keep him, and those conversations weren't had a few months ago, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We would be actually saying, I want to see Diaz play more than I do anyone else at the minute, because he is that next leap of defender for me, for City. Joe, what's your thoughts on Diaz and playing at the moment? Do you think he should be like what most City fans say, he should be training the reserves, or do you agree with Dave that he actually, do you know what, he's got as good a chance as anyone to play? His numbers there, he might as well play him.
Diaz or Garcia?
You mean Garcia?
Garcia. Did you say Garcia or Diaz?
No, I said Diaz.
Oh, I do apologise. I thought you were talking about Garcia. Sorry, lads. That's these new headphones. Well, I'll come on to that then.
But it's still a good question. Does this mean now, Joe, that we've got more? Can we sell Garcia in January and actually get a little bit of money for him rather than waiting until the summer?
In all honesty, I'm surprised we didn't sell him last summer. I really didn't see the logic in keeping him when he quite clearly didn't want to be there. And all we were going to do was lose him either way, but for free. I mean, I think we've got 4 top quality centre-backs at the club now. And obviously last year that was a bit of a problem for us. Laporte's injuries went against him. Fernandinho is not a natural centre-back. And of course, Otamendi, decent servant for the club, but the less said about last season, the better, really. This season, I think we really have got 4 top quality centre backs there. I totally agree about John Stones. I think he's been brilliant. And to be honest, I always thought the criticism of Stones was a bit unjustified. I thought that a lot of the time, what he was doing wrong never really felt as clueless as what Otamendi was doing wrong. I've always thought Stones was a bit harshly treated. So to see him playing well and, fighting for his place, and like you said, hopefully getting back in the England side as well, I'm really pleased to see it. So yeah, I really didn't see the point in keeping Garcia. Like last summer, it was really confusing me why there was talk of Garcia not going. We've got 20 million coming in from the club he obviously wants to be at, and we were looking at flogging Stones when Stones is a better defender anyway, and he actually wants to be there, and we're not going to lose him for free next summer. So honestly, with Garcia, I would have him training in the reserves, to be honest. I don't dislike the guy personally or anything, but he doesn't want to be there, and he doesn't add anything to the team, in my opinion.
Dave, what's your preferred lineup, Laporte and Diaz then? Is that any day of the week at the moment, or does it depend who we're playing?
I've still got to go down that route, even how well Stones is playing right now. I've still, because look, if you go back 12 months, if you go back to last season, Laporte was, God, how much did we miss it? That's what we were saying every week on this show. We miss Laporte, we miss Laporte. So I'd still go Laporte and Diaz. My massive concern with Laporte is this injury record. He just seems to be 1 in, 2 out. 2 games in, 3 games out. It's not good enough when you paid that kind of money. And I'm fearful that we might have another Mendy situation here of big bucks. We think we've got one of the world's best central defenders, and is he is he going to be up to it? Has he ever got over this injury that he had? And I'm getting a little bit concerned, but very happy that Stones has come into the form that he has. And Dan said week in, week out as well since we bought Ake and the times that he's played for the team, Ake's not particularly let us down either. I think he's been solid. So to Joe's point, we have 4 excellent centre backs now, and right now I don't think I will be massively concerned about who were those 2. Maybe Tom, really the question is, do I always want Diaz at the back? And I think I do. As long as he's fit, I want him playing, because I think it's looking very likely, and I tip my cap to Dan on this one, that he's our new company. I sincerely believe that. He's a brilliant player, scores goals, and he organises, and he's got a voice. And he's 23. That's exactly what he was.
He's captain material, isn't he?
Yeah, totally.
Absolute captain material. So it's funny, isn't it, Joe, how we City have turned in the last 4 months from defence is shocking, attack's brilliant, to actually, well, we're not scoring as many goals, and we've got 4 really solid centre-backs. We've got decent options at right back, and Cancelo backing us up at left back. It's amazing how that switch has changed, hasn't it?
It's been really surprising, but then I guess you could look at it like City put so much time and resources into improving the defence over the summer that you quite like to hope that they would have sorted it out, and obviously I think it looks like they have a bit. Going forward, I don't think there's anything that big to worry about in terms of the playing staff. At least I do think we should have bought another striker. We knew Aguero was not going to start this season with his injury, and I think we knew that he had at least another couple of injuries in him, and it looks like we'll be right. And therefore, that leaves us with one recognised striker in Jesus. And you can't expect to win and compete on all 4 fronts with one striker. I don't buy into this Sterling as a striker. I'm sick to death of us trying to play him through the middle when he does have a good goal return, but I still don't think his finishing is good enough for him to be like the number 9. Torres, to be fair to him, has impressed me when he's playing through the middle. I think obviously his height gives him a lot more that Sterling perhaps doesn't, but I still think we should have brought in another striker. I do think though what's held us back in terms of scoring goals hasn't necessarily been the players, it's been the tactics. I think that Pep has at times been a little too conservative. I don't think we always need to play Gundogan and Rodri together. I think that slows us down a bit, and it's really made us sort of lack the zip going forward that we perhaps had a year or 2 ago.
Yeah, Torres, Ferran Torres is looking like the absolute bargain of the season up to now, as far as I can see. Was it 20 million quid, 21 million quid?
Yeah.
For Torres, he's in the team sheet for me. He's obviously got passion, he's got drive, he's got commitment. He'll take on a player. He knows how to pass. He's quick and he can score. Give me 3 more of them, please. I'll take as many of them as we can and just keep playing them and get him to just point him in the right direction and let him watch him go. It's like a quality Darren Huckabee. Brilliant. I'm happy with that. I need to talk to you about.
You mean Forrest Gump?
I need to talk to you all about where we go with Mendy and Mahrez, because this is the topic of the admins from tonight. So we'll move from the admin page over to this now. We're going to start off with Mendy because I've got something here from admin Chris Laney. And to cut a long story short, one swallow doesn't make a summer. Is that the phrase?
Yeah.
But
it makes for a bloody good night.
Hey, boom, boom! It's not past the watershed. Come on, give us a chance. Is there any kids watching? Ask your parents. It'd be really embarrassing. So where we're going is with this. For me, Mendy had a good game. Back from injury, looks strong. His first goal for City, which really surprises me. But what surprises me more, have you heard the quote Guardiola came out with about Mendy scoring? I'll read this out to you. Guardiola and Mendy scoring goals. Scoring goals is the last thing I want for him. What I want from him is defend, be fit and be focused.
Yeah.
Spot on. I can't really disagree with that. He's not there to score. It's fantastic that he did, but it's more important that he get a clean sheet as far as I'm concerned. So where I'm getting at with this, Dan, I'll go with you with this. Where do we go with Mendy? Do we persist? Is he still our best left back option, or are we thinking Cancelo?
Well, judging on form, you can throw injuries into that mix, but I've said it to you multiple times. Put injuries aside, I never rated Mendy more than the Championship left back, and I've said it to you lads numerous times, and I still don't. I think Chris hit the nail on the head there as well. He's had too many wrongs. I love him for his commitment off the pitch. He seems to be that character in the dressing room that seems to get, a spark out of someone who hasn't shown a spark, so to speak. But that's not what we want. We want a left back that defends, albeit he did well scoring a volley. It's a world-class volley, it has to be said, and he's bombing balls in from the crosses. It's defence over the past, 3 years that we've struggled with, and it's the left back position that we've struggled with. That character in the dressing room. Cancelo, for me, right now, is our only spark out of someone who hasn't shown a spark, so to speak. Judge Mendy on 5 to 10 games on similar form. If he keeps up the similar form, I'll take back my words and I reckon he can go on with it, but I just don't see it. Credit to him, though. It was a great game, but I just need to see more of him injury-free.
Joe, who's the best left back at the club?
Hands down, Cancelo for me. I said it at the end of last season when he started playing him a bit there. He's looked really impressive. I always felt a bit sorry for Cancelo when we first got him because he came to us as one of the top fullbacks in Europe, and just as he came, Kyle Walker really seemed to up his game, made it a lot harder for him to get on the side, and obviously he's carried on with that good form. But I don't see why we can't play Cancelo at left back. I know a lot of people have said you want a natural left footer at left back, but there's been plenty of times where you've had right footers at left back who've done a decent job, and I personally don't have a problem with Cancelo being right footed. I think he's been putting in some great performances this season. He's probably been our most improved player this season, so I would still go with Cancelo for now. Like Dan said, if Mendy can go on a run 5-10 games playing like that, then I'll take it back as well. But at the minute, especially with obviously the United game on the horizon now, I'd definitely go with Cancelo as my first choice left back.
So, Dave, where does this leave Zynchenko? Does this leave him on the to be sold list next week?
I like Zynchenko. I think he's obviously not ever going to really play in his preferred position by the looks of it, just because we're so, we've got quality and depth there. But let's be honest, lads, he didn't really put a foot wrong when we did play him at left back. Him and Delph were playing at left back, and if Guardiola is now coming out and saying that he doesn't want his left backs to be scoring goals, he just wants them to defend. Well, the best defender out of those three, of Zynchenko, Mendy and Cancelo, is probably Zynchenko, because even Cancelo is the one who is making a lot of bombing runs forward from the left, and I agree he's had some really good games in that position. But if Guardiola's philosophy is changing a little bit, that hey, I just want my left back to stay back and defend and watch the game and get the ball out, into midfield to those playmaking players. That would be, for me, Zynchenko. Mm-hmm. I've got this feeling with Zynchenko that he's going to be one of these players that if we sell him, he's going to become absolute dynamite, and will be, he nearly went to Wolves, right, for 16 million, and and he'd be gone. I just got this feeling that he'd be a 50 million pound player now. That you don't become Ukraine captain and play that role in central midfield if you're not a really, really good player. I think I would prefer to keep him.
Well, Wolves aren't mugs when it comes to signing, so they obviously know something.
Nope.
If we were to sell him, I just hope it's to no one in the Premier League. Get him shipped off overseas, because he could quite easily bite us in the backside. But I just can't see his future. Look at Angelino. I just can't see him featuring at City again, sadly. Maybe in the cup games, but maybe later on maybe later on in the year, maybe. But again, I just can't see Zynchenko having a major part like he did in that title-winning season, which is sad, I think.
I'd like to throw out a curveball here, though. We're talking about Zynchenko being a left back. We're forgetting that his midfield is his natural trait. He hasn't really had the chance to do that. Would you see Zynchenko doing a Gundogan type role?
No.
He's got the defensive. I would.
No, I wouldn't.
I would want to see it, Dan, to your point, because I'm just not a fan of Gundogan, and I'm not a fan of, to Joe has said before, of why do we need Rodri and Gundogan playing every game?
What I mean,
defensive midfielders.
What I mean, my opinion on Gundogan's position has changed completely since the start of the season. I don't think he's defensive or attacking. I think he's that utility midfielder. He's like the Bernardo Silva, but obviously not with the finesse in dribbling and just the pace and what have you. My opinion is you take Rodri out of that team and put Fernandinho in that team, a prime Fernandinho, you'd be seeing a much better Man City midfield with Fernandinho and Gundogan in. Not taking anything away from Rodri, I just think I agree those two can't play. But I think Gundogan is the stronger of the two. But what I mean via Zynchenko is, Zynchenko could be that link-up player. We've got Rodri as the main defensive unit. I think we're all going to have to get used to. He is going to be for the foreseeable future, our main defensive midfielder from now on.
Just want to stop.
Let
me just stop you there, lads. We're going live to the FA Cup third round draw. Oh, a bit of a ballpark. You ready for this?
Yep.
Okay.
Please tell me you're at home.
Manchester City versus Birmingham.
Oh.
Man United at home to Watford. Stockport versus West Ham. Oldham versus Bournemouth. More to follow. I'll give you a full rundown when it's ended. But City, the third round FA Cup, we've got Birmingham at home. I'm happy with that.
First ever game I went to at City was that.
Was it really? What was the score?
City Birmingham 4-1 or 4-0. David Sommet scored for us after about 2 minutes.
David Sommet? Oh, you chucking out the Bernardo Corrades, the Sommets. Oh, you got some absolute belters, aren't you, Joe? You're coming on again.
Bradley Wright Phillips scored, I think, as well. We're talking a long time ago.
Oh, belted. Dan, sorry to interrupt you there, pal. Carry on. What were you saying?
Yeah. Good fixture that. I quite fancy Birmingham. Against Birmingham, should I say? Not fancy Birmingham. Words of choice. But no, what I was saying was I can see Zynchenko being that link-up player in terms of what he's learnt from defence now, and naturally he's an attacking midfielder. I think if we see Gundogan move on in the next couple of years and we've still got Zynchenko, I think Zynchenko will be used to fill in that void, and I think he'll do a much better job. I do honestly believe it. I said it about John Stones and not many people believe me. I'm saying it about Zynchenko. Zynchenko's here in the next 2 years. He'll be one of our main 11 players.
It's funny, isn't it?
I don't want him to leave.
No. He's going to be that James Milner type player for Liverpool. He's going to be that utility player, and he will get better with age. He's we're forgetting when he was playing left back, he was 20, 21 years old, and he grew up so much in that position. And I think he's become so much more mature, and now he's had to sit on the sidelines a little bit and watch his team. He's captain material as well for Ukraine. Maybe that is an influence on the team as well. And every time I see him play, I like seeing Zinchenko's name in that starting lineup, or just in any lineup. I do think he will go on to be a massive, not utility player is not the right word, but you know what I mean. That player that we can depend on, and I do believe it's him.
I love your faith. I love your faith. I just can't see it. I can't.
I did say signing Diaz would be amazing. I did say before we even linked with him, Ferran Torres would be a good signing. I did say John Stones was coming back. Trust me on this one, Tom. Trust me on this one.
Can you? All right. I'll rephrase this. I'll ask this question. Joe, remember before about the killer questions I was asking?
Yeah.
Dan, will Zinchenko start 10 games this season for City?
Yes.
Premier League. Everything. I don't think he will.
Yeah.
I just can't see him. Do you all think he will? Right, this is it live now. Zynchenko watch. This is it. It's live. This is a thing. We've made a thing here. Zynchenko watch. I can't see him starting 10 games this season. I just don't think Pep just trusts him in midfield.
Here's a big thing for me, Tom, with Zynchenko. He doesn't want to leave. And I want players at Manchester City. We've talked about this verbatim with Darnay and Sancho and whoever else. Zynchenko does not want to leave Manchester City. And I want players like that at the club, who love the club, given a massive opportunity to play for a massive club. Never really lets down. Yeah, he always gives us a 6 or 7 out of 10, always. And you can't pay someone that when they actually love playing for the club. That means a lot. You can't replace that either. I want him to stay.
The question has gone out on social media. We'll get a straw poll together and we'll find out what Twitter thinks by the end of this. Okay. Right, we'll move on from him. Mahrez. What are you laughing at, Dan? Stop laughing at me.
It's just, believe me, it's going to happen. Zinchenko will start 15 plus games in all competitions this year, and in 2 years' time, he will be a massive part player. But yeah, Mahrez, continue. Sorry.
Mahrez. Morecambe versus Chelsea. Spurs going to Marine. What's Marine?
Oh, that's a good draw
Marine
for Marine.
Outside of Liverpool, I think.
Skemersdale, I think, isn't it?
Cheltenham versus Manfield. Newport County versus Brighton. Blackpool versus West Brom. Norwich versus Coventry. Exeter, Sheffield Wednesday. Chelsea versus Morecambe. That's who it is. Chelsea versus Morecambe.
That's good for
Morecambe.
Morecambe.
That's a cracking.
Is it
That's
at
a cracking.
Morecambe or at Chelsea?
At Chelsea, it's a cracking draw. That I like that. Well done, guys.
You see, I hear these, and I feel a bit sad that we can't go. Because imagine you're a Morecambe fan, and you've got the biggest game of your life, and you're told you can't go.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a fair point, actually. Aston Villa versus Liverpool. QPR, Fulham.
Another 7-2 on the way, hopefully.
Yeah, Stoke versus Leicester. Blackburn versus Doncaster. Oh, that's a proper White Rose, Red Rose derby. I like that. Crackers, good draws there. I'm looking forward to this. We'll find out when they're going to be playing. I'm not too sure when these are going to be playing. Does anyone else know?
It's the weekend of the 9th and 10th of January, I think.
Top
Not
man.
too sure.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. Right, so Mahrez, going back on topic. Right, cracking game. Got loads of Dan. We were there, weren't we? Got a bit of abuse and a bit of people saying this, saying that about him on Saturday. Where did we go with Mahrez? Is he gonna go on from here, or is he gonna drop back into form that he's been in the last couple of weeks? What are you thinking, Dave? Is he gonna push on from the Burnley game?
No, he's not. I mean, we all have to bear in mind that who we played on Saturday was Burnley, and I've got to agree with Laney on this one, that you can only beat what's put in front of you. But it was one game. I don't want any City fans to get carried away with that. Yeah, it was a good performance. Mahrez played well as usual. He was greedy as well, but this time he put away his chances for once through his greediness. But I don't rate him. I don't. And what really concerned me on Saturday was that Foden didn't start the game either.
Really worried me that. Yeah, that really. I was gutted about that.
You asked me if you want Mahrez or Foden starting every game. I will choose Foden every time, and I don't understand why Pep keeps doing this. He even came out and said that he is not bothered about players' energy levels, or he is looking to see who his best 11 are for a particular game. Now, if that's the case, Foden has been our best player when he started games, probably this season, better than De Bruyne. De Bruyne's been very up and down. So I don't understand what Foden has to do to start games. Mahrez has done bugger all, and he starts a game, and yeah, admittedly, Pep can now turn around and say, "See, I told you." But I do not want Mahrez in the team at the expense of Foden, because I saw Dan's comment the other day, and I know it was only half joking that if I was Foden, I would be asking for a move, but I would be pissed off if I was Foden. What does he have to do to start games? What does he have to do?
Can I ask you a question, Dave?
Yeah.
Granted, I completely agree. I want Foden to start. I think his England performances merit as well. How well he's playing. That recent England game, he was phenomenal. How he didn't get a start. I think you were being a bit too harsh on Mahrez to a degree. But I want to know, is your views on Mahrez entirely based on just the performance at the weekend, based on because he started ahead of Foden?
No, mine is from what I've seen of Mahrez over 2 years. I don't think he gives enough to the team, and that was a one-off performance from him. He seems to do it for Algeria, but that was a one-off performance for me against a poor Burnley side, and let's all agree that was a rookie goalkeeper. So, and that's all I'm saying is I don't want us to get carried away by Mahrez or by that team performance. When no disrespect to Burnley, but that was a poor performance by them, and that was a rookie goalkeeper. We always beat Burnley. We always do. It's like you were saying with Mendy for me, Dan, and I don't ever see that from Mahrez. I don't ever see it from him.
Oh,
I do. The past couple of games, I've seen a massive difference in Mahrez. I don't know why no one else can. I'm sure I'm not the only one. I just think his work effort is a hell of a lot more different in the past couple of games. I saw a hell of a lot more ungreediness against Burnley. He seemed to pass it a lot more. He found more in-depth spaces. It was the previous game in the league that we played. Who? Sorry. Tottenham. It might not have been that one. It might have been the one before. The last game he played, he didn't play against Spurs, did he? I think it was Sheffield. By that run that I was annoyed with him, that he didn't make, he seemed a lot more passive that game. And he seemed to... I think it's just because of the performances, especially last year, where he was very greedy. He was just hitting the first players and just getting... I was annoyed with him when he was chomping off early on this season, going, oh, I've got a corner here, I love this, I've got a corner, rather than, scoring a goal. If he plays against Fulham, and I think it's against United the next game, isn't it? If he plays them, I think we'll be still talking about him as a great performance in the next 2 games if he plays. I do honestly see a massive difference in the last 2 games. Fingers crossed he continues it. But that doesn't set aside, I do want Foden to start. But there's no real player from that lineup at the weekend that deserves to be out the squad for Foden. That's the harsh reality Pep's got to face.
That's the massive concern, isn't it, Dan? That's what Guardiola is saying, but you can guarantee on Tuesday. It's Tuesday tomorrow, is it? We play
tomorrow 8 o'clock.
And then at the weekend, he'll have changed it all up again. So I don't quite believe Pep when he says, it's all about form, because he's picking players. De Bruyne has not been great this season, but he's still the first name on the team sheet. Yeah, he gave him a rest at Olympiacos, and he obviously needed it. But I just come back to the point of Foden has played well every time he's played. He's played well for his country. What does that lad have to do when he's 20? And I kind of said on our group chat, these lads can play 2-3 games a week because they're young. You get it with a Fernandinho, you get it with, even a De Bruyne who's kind of, nearing on 30 now, that, maybe 1-2 games a week. Foden can do it. He doesn't need much recovery time because he's young. So I don't know what this lad has to do to be starting more regularly than he is. It just doesn't make sense.
On that point, I completely agree.
I was really disappointed not seeing Foden, purely because I want to see him play. I want to see him play more, and I love watching him play. It's that whole watching Kinkadze play, Dave. You went to City to watch Kinkadze and Bernabei and Berkovic. And I want to see these flair players play, and when they don't play, it's disappointing. That said, I'll just give you some stats from Mahrez from the Burnley game. He obviously played 90 minutes, scored 3 goals, 71 touches, 49 passes, 86% pass accuracy, 6 key passes, 5 shots, 3 crosses. That's not the stats of someone that's greedy.
Exactly.
I need to see his stats compared to previous games. If he turns a corner and he's taken on board the feedback from the fans, and he was rested, wasn't he? And if he's taken feedback from Pep to say, listen, actually, you need to be a bit more of a game player. Do you know what? I said to you, Dave, I said to you, Dan, last season, players I'm looking forward to watching this season are Mahrez and Rodri. And if this is Mahrez kicking on, and he's scoring goals for us, and this is where our goals are going to come from, then I want to see him playing. But is it at the expense of Foden? I don't think it is. I love watching Foden. I don't know. It's really hard.
Maybe that's where Dave's point comes in. Maybe it's time we started to think about dropping De Bruyne when he's not on form and playing Foden, who is. You know, we've got to get prepared for the fact that De Bruyne is eventually going to disappear from City. I'm not, hopefully, for not a few years yet. But Foden is obviously going to be that main man unless we sign some amazing young talent.
Yeah, I completely get what you're saying. There's no way Pep will drop De Bruyne unless De Bruyne says he's tired or injured, or that's just not going to happen. He is unfortunately undroppable in my opinion, unless there is something wrong with him, or he is absolutely having a mare. I think from that point of view. Foden's got to start tomorrow, hasn't he? Foden's got to start tomorrow. There's no reason why he wouldn't start tomorrow.
I don't want him to start tomorrow because I don't want us to only be playing him in these dead rubber games. Like, tomorrow is a bit of a dead rubber now, isn't it? We're through. Against Fulham, I guess I could make the case for seeing Mahrez kick on again, but if I'm Foden and I'm putting in not only good performances, but he's putting in such a good work rate. Like that, the game that epitomised it for me was that West Ham game where we're spending the whole first half slowly passing the ball around, no energy. He comes straight on every time. He wants the ball. He's making runs. He scores the goal. If I'm him and I'm running my nuts off every week for this club, for a club that I love as well, and he doesn't start the derby, I'm really going to start questioning things then. I mean, of course, Pep knows better than me. He's paid to do that job, but I'll be really, really surprised and annoyed if Foden doesn't start against
I will put good money on Foden starting the derby. I would put good money against anybody who thinks Foden won't start the derby. He will. He's a City player. He's a blue. If you're a manager and you want somebody to actually fight your heart out, it's Foden. He's got to start the derby, hasn't he? Unless there's something
you want someone
injury.
to go to Old Trafford and just desperately want to, beat them or die trying, it's Phil Foden.
Absolutely.
I don't necessarily think that's at the expense of Mahrez. I think that Mahrez, against their back four, his footwork and his pace could really cause them some problems. I don't think at the back they're anything to write home about at all. I would quite like to see Mahrez start that. But that game, I really don't want to see this two holding midfielders thing. I want to really go at them. Like we are so much better than them. All that they've got that you'd worry about is going forward. They've got some handy players, but I have faith in our back four. I mean, this Fulham game at the weekend, I know they're doing all right tonight, actually, but you'd be very surprised if we don't win that quite comfortably. But looking ahead to sort of the next big game of the season, which is obviously the United game, I'd be very surprised and annoyed if we don't go into that game with Foden and Mahrez and Torres, like these players with a lot of energy, who will cause their back for a lot of problems, and especially in Foden's case, will really want to win and give us, the sort of, because that could be a real takeoff point for this season, which hasn't, in my opinion, hasn't really got going yet, even after Saturday.
Just reading reports, and it's all kicking off on Twitter. Kevin De Bruyne is about to say yes to a contract extension, which will see him at City till June 30th, 2025. He's said to be extremely happy with Guardiola staying and negotiating directly with Man City board, so he's not involving his agent. An agreement is expected in the coming months. So obviously, as well as I do, the Twitterati usually do the full storm, but I can't see him going. I just can't see him going anywhere. I'd love to see him extend that contract. What's that, for another 5 years? Yes, please. How old is he?
Yeah.
How old is De Bruyne? 28, yeah?
29.
I think he's 28 now, isn't he? 28, 29. I mean, I see De
been with us
Bruyne
longer than you
stay
think.
for another 5 years. He's going to be essentially a quarterback. I think he'll move further back as time progresses.
29.
He's so good on the ball. He can just ping it. Look at that cross that he made for Mendy's goal at the weekend. And he can do that all day. And I see in a couple of seasons that's more what it'll be. I'm not saying he'll be a defensive midfielder, but it'll be more of just get the ball to De Bruyne, Foden, a Torres, Sterling, whoever, make those runs, and then De Bruyne will just ping it to you, on a 10-pence piece. I mean, he can do that.
If he's 29, 5-year contract's quite a lengthy contract for somebody who's 29. I suppose it's his last big money maker, isn't it? And like you say, Dave, if he stays fit, then there's no reason why he can't have a position somewhere. Go on, Joe.
Totally agree with Dave, though. I can totally see De Bruyne playing in that quarterback role. I think we saw Gerrard do it quite effectively at Liverpool when his legs started to go. He moved back. I mean, obviously, I don't think that will work every game because it showed with them back then that if they're playing a team that's going to have the ball more than them, you might need someone who's a bit more of a Gareth Barry, if you like, in midfield who can do both. Who's a better tackler. But I can totally, given that we're going to dominate possession in 95% of games, I totally agree with Dave. I would love to see De Bruyne play that role if his legs start to go a bit.
Yeah, 5 years. I mean, he's always said. I'm not sure. So here in the States, we get. I'm not sure if it's kind of BT Sport or the share. So we get Roberto Martinez doing the commentary, or he's in the studio. Is that the same in the UK on BT Sport? I'm not sure it's different here.
We've got Steve McManaman.
Oh God!
That bloody Jake Humphries.
On US TV, on I think it's in Champions League. So Roberto Martinez is always in the studio, and obviously they just say to him all the time, "Hey, you work with De Bruyne at international level," and Roberto Martinez says he's just something else. Even in training, he always brings it to the games as well. He's kind of intimated that he's definitely a better player than Hazard, as well, who I do rate. But yeah, Roberto Martinez can't speak highly enough of De Bruyne. He's just when he's on form, I mean, he probably is the best attacking midfielder in the world.
I've had Chris Fons, friend of the show. How you doing, Chris? Hope you're well, pal. KDB deserves a striker that can put the ball in the back of the net. Yes, he does. If we get a goal scorer, Kevin De Bruyne's assist record is going to get absolutely smashed. Imagine Kevin De Bruyne with a young Sergio.
Yeah. Well, again, I go back to look at that pass that he made for Mendy's goal.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been saying over and over. That if you've got a striker or a second striker who's making those runs, then De Bruyne is just going to be able to knock that into the box, and a Mandzukic or whoever it might be, just get on the end of it.
How many goals would Dzeko have got with De Bruyne?
We don't. It makes me tired. Let's move on to strikers, because Pep was making a. Do you remember a few weeks ago when I said if Pep signs a new contract and Sergio signs a new contract, we're going to be signing Messi? Pep has been talking about the potential of Sergio extending, not in so many words, but along the lines of it's up to Sergio to talk with the club, etc., etc., etc. Sergio is going to sign a contract extension, lads. I'm convinced. I'm absolutely convinced of it, and I don't know if it's the right decision.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is.
That guy is shot, and I absolutely adore him for what he's done for Manchester City. I think he's one of the greatest strikers of all time. I just in world football, but he's gone. He's done. He needs to leave on a high and go back to Argentina or some club who's going to give him the the credit that he deserves. But his legs are gone, his head's gone. His son's grandfather, the greatest player of all time, has just passed away. He's done. But Tom, I agree with you. If Messi signs, one of those things will be, I'm only signing if my best friend Aguero is here as well.
And the funny thing is, Sergio's not travelled with the squad for tomorrow's game, which tells me he's resting him. He's not 100% fit. And was he on the bench against Burnley? He was, wasn't he? Was he? I can't remember.
I don't know.
No, he wasn't. Was he?
No, he wasn't.
5 days he was expected to be out.
So this injury's not going away anytime soon, is it? How long is it going to be to get him up and running? It's going to be after Christmas now, after the New Year.
I think so. Yeah.
Sad, isn't it? We need a striker, lads. That's not going to go away.
I've got to say though, as long as he's fit, I have been very, very impressed with Jesus this season.
He's looked good, hasn't he? Yeah.
I thought at the weekend, obviously he didn't get a goal, but his assist for Torres' goal, the way he got that ball and played that was excellent. And this season, in my opinion, I think he's really starting to come on. And whilst I'm still not convinced that, he'll ever be the 30-goal a season man that Aguero has been, and we probably do need to get someone else in to do that, I think that Jesus is a brilliant, brilliant player, and I've been so impressed this season.
Andy Hutchinson's just made a good point on Facebook. Sergio's had a reaction to his knee injury, so obviously that's why we're in for that. Chris Fons, do you know what? Chris Fons made a good point here. Sergio will not pay 10 games for us this year. Signing him just won't happen if we sign. Signing will just happen if we sign Messi. So here's a question going back to the Zynchenko point: who's going to start more games, Sergio or Zynchenko for City this year? I tell you what, that is a tough one. That's a tough one, that, isn't it?
I said at the start of this season we won't. Did I say 15 games, Dan, that we get out of Aguero this season? I think I said 15, didn't I?
Yeah.
He's gone. His body, he started playing professionally when he was 15 years of age. He's done. His body is giving up on him. It's just as simple as that. He's earned his money. He's won a ridiculous amount of titles. Go and live out your retirement in Argentina, which is it Independiente he wants to go play for? Go do it.
It's a funny one. So I'm putting the question out on Facebook and social media to see what people say. And just to give you an update on will Zynchenko start more than 10 games? We've had 90 votes. 25% say yes, 75% no. Agree with me that he won't start more than 10 games. He's getting absolutely hammered. He won't.
75% will be eating their words at the end of the season.
Yep. Thank you very much, Joe.
I just.
You've got to start.
Did anyone hear Edison's comments? We're going to end soon, lads. By the way, so if you've got anything else, just add. But did anyone hear that? What Edison made a very bold claim to being the last couple of days. Anyone hear this? Best penalty taker at City. Edison said.
He's probably right.
And do you know what? I don't disagree with him one bit. And I've never seen him take a penalty, but game taker.
Have we got anyone who's actually that good at penalties anymore? Like, we used to be really spoilt for choice. We had Balotelli, then we had Toure. Even Samaras could put a decent penalty away. But now I really don't think we've got any. I don't think anyone's that good at penalties at City. I don't know if we don't practice them or if it just gets to them. But we missed so many both last season and this season. And we've missed some costly ones. That should have beaten Liverpool the other week, and we should have ended the Anfield curse. But obviously that never happened. I think that penalties have become a bit of an Achilles heel for us in recent years.
Yeah.
Pep won't do it, but I honestly feel that he should do. As I was joking a couple of weeks ago, and I said to you lot that who's going to get in the way of Edison hitting a ball at you? Like, you're just going to dive out of the way. He hits the ball that hard anyway. It's a guaranteed goal.
I do worry about it though, because you've got certain other. Even at West Ham, every time Mark Noble steps up, it's a goal. And I hate to mention them, but whenever that lot get a penalty, which obviously happens 3 times a game these days, he's going to score it, don't you? We don't have anyone that fills me with confidence if we get a penalty.
No, it's true.
It's very true.
I'll tell you one player I'd like to see take a penalty, and that's Kyle Walker. I don't know why.
It's either going to go top corner or Rose Head, isn't it?
But I reckon 9 times out of 10 it will find the back of the net. I don't know what it is with Kyle.
He can hit a ball.
I want to see.
Here's a question then. Here is a question. Champions League semi-final goes to penalty. Pick your first 5. Who are your first 5?
Zynchenko.
Mahrez.
Yeah, you have a fully fit squad.
Right.
Your first 5.
Gundogan, De Bruyne, Aguero,
Sterling.
no, I'm not going Torres and Edison.
Okay.
Go on, Dave. What about you?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Gundogan. Yeah, I mean, even if he's not my favourite player, he's German. He seems that they're good at penalties. It's just the way it is. So yeah, definitely have Gundogan.
Mahrez.
In that situation, I'll probably have Aguero definitely as well. I'd probably have De Bruyne, big game player. I would actually throw Foden in there because I really believe Foden's just got the world at his feet. He just needs to be given the platform to do it. And fifth, yeah, it wouldn't happen, but I probably would put Edison in there, to be perfectly honest.
Fernandinho, maybe? I reckon he could take
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
No one's mentioned Mahrez.
No one's mentioned Jesus.
I could definitely see Mahrez with a cheeky Panenka.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I don't want to see Mahrez take another penalty again after that one at Anfield.
Oh, bless his socks.
Yeah. Well, I love
Mahrez, but no.
Here's my other question while we wrap this up. We are now, 4 weeks away to the transfer window opening. Are we going to sign a striker in January?
No. Pep's already said no.
Aguero's injury record. We all know we're crying out for one, or are we going to wait till the summer?
I would really like us to do we won't get someone big. I want us to next summer. I want us to break the bank for Haaland, but that's another conversation. I'd like us to sign, for example, I've heard rumours that Giroud wants out of Chelsea. I would happily have him on a 6-month contract. Just someone who can start turning some of these chances into goals, turning these draws into wins, get us on a decent run. Pep will never do it. It goes against everything he stands for. But I really don't see what's wrong with just getting in someone like United have done with Cavani, just someone who knows where the back of the net is and who can just take us through to the summer, and then we go out and just say, do you know what? Let's just give Dortmund a blank check and get Haaland in.
It's definitely an eyebrow raiser, that, pal. But do you know what? I can see your logic behind that.
Yeah.
I'd go for Deeney.
Honestly, just someone who in the Premier League. Because when you think about it, we've seen these players like Deeney who can get 15 goals a year at a pretty pony Watford team. Think how many goals he's going to get with De Bruyne putting balls in.
And Deeney's a quality penalty taker, it has to be said.
Yeah, that's very true.
And a captain.
We want good penalties. Get Gareth Barry back.
Right.
Balotelli.
Yeah.
Balotelli's going to Barnsley. We can stick a march on this.
Oh, I'd have Yaya back. I don't care how old he is. I'd have Yaya back.
Right, we are drifting into the realms here, lads. Has anyone else got anything else left to add before we move on gracefully?
Zynchenko to start tomorrow.
I think you're probably right.
That wasn't a joke. I do think Zynchenko will start tomorrow.
I think you're probably right, but like I said, it's a dead rubber, isn't it?
Zinchenko left back, Cancelo right back.
Can Porto still go through?
Not
yeah,
sure.
I think they can still
If
beat.
they win tomorrow.
Are they the team that can't go above us if they beat us and we lose our next two or something and they win theirs? And they're the only team. I think if we get a draw, we get top spot.
Okay. Because what I would say was this: if Porto can still go through, which I think they can, I think it's Olympiacos, right, who are right down at the bottom.
Yeah, they're bottom of the league. Yeah.
Isn't it?
Pep needs to treat this tomorrow as somewhat as a defensive game. Test out your defenders. So I would expect Stones to play again. I really would. If he played that well against Burnley, he's had 48 hours rest. Play him. I would see this tomorrow as don't go out there all guns blazing trying to score goals. Let Porto come at us and let's see how well we do defending.
Yeah,
that would be my opinion tomorrow of how we set up.
Joe, you're spot on. So we've got Marseille played 4, 0 points. Olympiacos 4 played 3 points. Porto 4 played 9 points. City 4 played 12 points. So
we need to get at least a point tomorrow, really, don't we?
Is anyone worried about tomorrow's match? I just think we're going to smash it. I've not have any concern about Porto whatsoever, which worries me at the same tone.
They didn't look that good against us at our place. Like we made them look better because we played badly in the first half. I thought once we got going in that second half, they didn't really get a look in. I don't want to tempt fate or anything, but I don't look at any of our Champions League oppositions and think if we turn up today, we won't get anything less than 3 points.
Okay, perfect. Right, score predictions. We've gone into the realms of the match tomorrow night now, lads. Joe, what's the score going to be tomorrow night, pal?
2-0 to us.
Dan Fielding. Come on, Dan, I can see you rocking. What are you thinking, buddy?
2-0 Porto.
Yeah.
You want to know something really bad? I actually genuinely believe that'll be the scoreline.
Do you really?
I'm going.
Hand on heart.
I'm going 2-1 Porto.
Yeah, are you both doing reverse psychology on me here, or what?
No, I'm going from
Hopefully.
the standpoint of Porto can basically qualify if they beat us tomorrow. To Joe's point, it's somewhat of a dead rubber. I want us to keep our players fit for the Premier League, and let's see if we can move up a few places by winning some games. Because I still don't like seeing us as a mid-table team. It's keeping me awake at night, and I don't like it. So, you know, I think Zynchenko, will probably start. I think he needs to play his players tomorrow who are not going to play at the weekend, and I think Porto are probably going to want it more than us, and they're not a bad team, so yeah, I'm going 2-1 Porto.
Right, some quick fire stats. Porto have lost their 3 previous meetings with City on an aggregate score of 9-2. City have only lost one of their previous 7 games against Portuguese opponents in European competitions. Guardiola's side have already kept more clean sheets in the competition this season, 3 than they did in 9 games last 2 seasons. The stats again, I'm not worried. Do you know what? I'd even be surprised if they score. I just don't. They don't worry me whatsoever. I think even with our wholesale changes for tomorrow night, I'm still not worried, and that's saying something for me.
There is a reason why you don't do score predictions, though, Tom.
There is, very much so. So I'm going to retract everything I've just said for the last 5 minutes.
Take me off score predictions if I'm wrong.
I mean, we've got like a 99.9% chance of going through. So either way, I'm not losing a night's sleep over it. But I'm feeling pretty confident. Are we watching the match tomorrow night, Dan? I don't think I can actually. I think I'm working. I think I've got to do some work.
I will be. I'll be doing a live commentary, so anybody who wants to join, do keep commenting, and yeah.
So just for everyone's.
I'm missing the first 20 minutes.
It's what?
What you say?
I think I'm missing the first 20 minutes. I'm working late tomorrow.
What time does it kick off?
8.
So just so everyone knows, anyone that's watching, we're going live from 7 with a pre-match chat, and then Dan's going to take over for the commentary game afterwards. Lads, it's been lovely to see you. Joe, you're not done too bad, pal. How's it been?
Excellent.
It's been a pleasure. Great.
Good lad. Right, we'll see you next week, buddy. Love you and leave you, lads. Have a great night.
Take
Come on, City. Come on, Blues.
Bye.
See you in a bit, lads.
Take care, boys.
Bye.